What's good, everybody? Welcome. It's been a while since your boy has been on stream, and I am super sorry. I apologize. I'm waiting for people to come in. So, yeah, we're gonna wait for people to come in. I know it's been a long time since I've done one of these streams. A long time. So, I'm gonna try my best to maybe we can get some people in here, whatnot. Yeah, at the moment, I don't see any comments, so yeah, we chilling for right now until maybe some people will come in. But maybe for people watching on the replay, uh, yeah, as you noticed, your boy has been gone. I've been taking a break from YouTube, uh, really for like almost a month or two now. And it's not that I stopped doing YouTube. It's not that. So I don't want you to think that I stopped doing YouTube. It's just that, I just have like other things that I'm like working on and just kind of thinking about a plan for the channel. Like I have a plan, but I just don't know where to go like as far as um, content for the future. I mean, like I said, I have some plans of some ideas, but yeah, I'm back. I'm gonna try to come back and do some videos again. Super sorry for the long break. I'm sure you guys thought I probably fell off the face of the earth. It's not that. It's just again, just got a lot of stuff going on right now, and yeah, I'm just trying to get back into the headspace of doing content and stuff. I just haven't. I haven't been motivated, you know, for some time now. And I'll give you guys a story. I'll give you guys the story of pretty much why I've been feeling this way. Just burnt out. I've just been burnt out with stuff. Uh, just in my life in general, I've just been kind of burnt out and just trying to figure out, you know, just trying to like figure out exactly like where I want to go as far as my future with YouTube and just other things in general. And I want to say thank you to, you guys, to, all of you for just being here, uh, supporting me, all that stuff. Because I tell you, it's just been like a battle with myself, I guess. Butterfly, what's up? How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. But yeah, long story short, your boy was burnt out. I was burnt out from YouTube, and I just didn't know what to do. But I had you guys kind of having that interview going on and whatnot. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I think a lot of you guys did enjoy that interview. I really did enjoy doing the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man interview with Jeff Trammell. That was something that I had been working on for a while. That's been in the works for some time. I just didn't know when to tell you guys, but maybe you guys kind of picked up on it a little bit, with, maybe there may be some surprises, things like that. I'm glad you're doing good, Butterfly. Have a great day. Well, thank you. I appreciate you coming through and whatnot. I appreciate the kind message. It's really needed, really. But yeah, like I said, I've been trying to get that interview with Jeff Trammell for some time now, and it just worked out and things like that. So I'm glad I was able to do my first ever interview. I'd say, out of everything that I've done, on the channel, as far as like YouTube, I think that interview was probably the thing I'm most proud of, just based off the moment alone. As someone who never even thought about doing interviews a long time ago, I didn't even think that was even a thing you could do on YouTube until recently, and I started seeing a lot of other channels, Phase Hero, tons of channels just doing these interviews and stuff. And I said, like, what, maybe I should try to get into that, interview side of things, because I think people want to know about what's going on behind the scenes, behind the curtains. Some people are very curious about those kind of things. So I felt like that might be a good audience to also bring in. I also enjoy like talking about the news and giving you guys updates and just kind of doing these live streams. I also want to try to give you guys more variety content, like interviews, like other potential things that I'm working on. So I'm always thinking about, when I am taking a break from being burnt out, there's not a moment that I don't ever think about YouTube. There is a moment that I do. I think about different ideas, um, different people I could do interviews with, and just all the things that kind of culminate into this. I think about it heavy. So it's not the fact that I don't want to do it. It's not the fact that I'm quitting or anything like that. I just, again, just need to take a break. I need a wested. Am I Elmer Fudd now? A well rested break. But I'm back. Your boy's back. And yeah. So I'm glad to be back. We're just vibing for now. We're just talking about anything. I just wanted to catch up with everybody. What are you guys doing? What are you guys up to? There's been a lot of stuff, that's been out. Daredevil Born Again just ended last week. Daredevil Born Again was definitely a really good show that I would definitely love to tap into if you guys are into that. We had Superman stuff. We got a sneak peek at Superman, as well as a behind the scenes of Superman. We got Fantastic Four trailer. A lot of great stuff coming out of that as well. So there's been a lot of news that's been coming out. There's some news on the King of the Hill reboot. There's some news on some potential Sonic series, for the movie franchise. There's been talks about that. So again, a lot of like news uh, that's just been kind of going on for the past couple of months that I'm not in the Hobbit's bin. I definitely know what's going on. I'm definitely aware of what's happening. Again, just been burnt out and I just haven't had the time or the motivation to do videos and whatnot. Yeah, Butterfly, you said you are nice. Thank you, thank you. I again really appreciate that. Solomon, what's up, man? Yeah, I know. Yeah, your boy is alive and well. I am alive. I'm like I said, I missed you guys. I missed doing these live streams. These live streams were a big part of me and just kind of like what I wanted to do on the channel and whatnot. So I'm definitely gonna come back doing some streams. I won't announce anything too soon, but if you love me doing, live streams, I'd say, stick around. There might be a whole week of me going live, and we might be trying to hit a specific goal for something. So if you guys, like those kind of streams and whatnot, or just like just, chill out and stuff like that, we can, do that for like a whole week. So I have a plan. Again, won't speak too much on it, but just stay tuned. A potential Sonic series, is it animated? As far as we know, no. But as far as right now with the news, it's just that they're in consideration of just expanding the Sonic movie universe. So maybe they could do another series, similar to Knuckles with maybe like Shadow or maybe Amy or like a character, characters like that they probably are thinking about maybe doing a spin-off of. Maybe there is an animated spin-off that they could do, similar to Tales of TMNT, where like they connected the events of Tales of TMNT are supposed to connect to TMNT Mutant Mayhem 2 or whatever they're gonna decide to call the second sequel. Which that comes out next year, so we'll definitely be hearing some news about that film pretty soon, as well as the Mario Brothers movie as well. The second movie that comes out next year. Shrek 5 comes out next year. The 2026 is loaded with tons of animated films that are going to be coming out. We finally got a release date. I wish I would have done a video. Maybe I will do a video kind of going over my thoughts about it. But did I? Yeah, I already did a video actually. I did a video to that. But we got an update on, Beyond the Spider-Verse. We got a release date. We got some new images from the movie as well. So I'm excited for Beyond the Spider-Verse. Love those movies. Can't wait for that. And yeah, so yeah, a lot of news that I would have to definitely catch up on if I want to make videos for them. But I don't know. Do you guys want me to make videos on, the stuff that I've kind of been, behind on? Do you guys want that? Does it feel like it's, too little too late? I definitely would like to hear, your opinions on that if you want me to cover those things as well. But yeah, so we just chilling right now, whatever you guys want to talk about. Uh, OP, what do you mean by OP, Butterfly? I'm sure you're trying to tell me something, but I don't know what you're trying to say. But yeah, I guess we can get into something. Daredevil Born Again. I'll give you my thoughts on Daredevil Born Again. I thought Daredevil Born Again was a great show. Well, the first season. Well, I say was. We got season two, but I thought season one was good. There were a lot of great story elements in it. You can definitely, but I will say, you can definitely tell. The directors of 1-8, was it 1-8-9? You can definitely tell who's directing what episodes because certain creative and cinematography elements are different. When you look at episodes 8, 1, and 9, the colors really pop out to you. Like it really does feel like it's a very much a different show. But I will say, I think episode 3 and 5 are really good. I like those episodes because and some people would say those are filler episodes, but for me they don't feel filler because you're learning the side of Matt Murdock. Everyone knows about Daredevil and what he goes through. But seeing Matt Murdock, the man behind the mask, still being a hero, I really like that. I hope that's something that they keep with future seasons. But I liked episodes 3 and 5. I love a courtroom case, and that whole episode of 3 was just a courtroom case, and I thought that was just really well done. Episode 5 with the Inside Man kind of episode. If you don't know Inside Man, a really good movie. I suggest checking it out. But yeah, really enjoyed that episode and just kind of seeing Matt do his thing within that. Really, really dope thing. Like I said, there's so many creative elements that they did with season one. Now, I will say there are some things that I hope they improve on with season two, but I think seeing how episodes 8 and 9 went, I think we will see a lot of that cool cinematography, deep and rich storytelling that I feel like, the Netflix Daredevil series did really well. Not to say that it didn't do it in this series, but you can definitely tell with the reshoots and stuff that it feels like a different show. Like episode 1 feels like a continuation of the Netflix series. But then you get into the other episodes and they feel kind of different. You know what I mean? It feels more like they were trying to go for a Law and Order route with the Daredevil show in the previous regime. And not to say that that's a bad thing, but I think, I feel like that should, I feel like personally that should have been like how She Hulk would have, could have been. It could have been like a Law and Order type thing with She Hulk, for me personally. But I think it is a really interesting. I think it's really interesting to see the process from the new creative team, from the old creative team, and then them having to mesh all that together. Muse, I will say this. I know people feel kind of underwhelmed by Muse, but I really do feel like the villain Muse is going to have more to do in season 2. We're definitely going to see him come back, so I'm kind of holding out hope on Muse because Muse in the comics, he's a very like serious, twisted, sadistic villain, and I think there's more that you could do with his character. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Daredevil season 1. I enjoyed it. I don't know what show I'm gonna watch after this though, because as of right now, there's not really any shows that are kind of like hitting me. Uh, so we'll see. We'll see what show comes out next that I might potentially talk about and watch. Will there be another Spider-Verse? Yes, there will be. Beyond the Spider-Verse is set to come out in 2027. We got a release date recently at CinemaCon, as well as some images. Really cool looking images. You know, we got Prowler Miles facing off with Miles. We have Miles and Gwen, which look like they're at Hobie's, universe, so they're probably going to reconcile there, which kind of comes back full circle with Hobie's whole arc. We have uh what is it, like some other images, like really vibrant images of Miles kind of going through the multiverse and stuff like that. So really cool images to check out. I did a video a while back talking about it, so if you guys are interested in that, check that out. What are your thoughts on the Invincible comic TV show? Invincible, my thoughts on it, I think Invincible is really good as a comic book show. I think Amazon picking up Invincible was the right move because not a lot of people knew about Invincible. I definitely didn't know about Invincible until, the series came out. And then I went and did some research, started reading the comics and whatnot. And when you really look down into like the comics, right? There's a lot of what they did in the show they've done in the show. Not exactly one to one, but again, what adaptation has been one to one? But I do like that even some of the subtle changes within, the stories from the comics, I think is a well welcome change. Now, season three is going to be a little different. They're still going to go into those places from the comics, but they're going to add a different story element to it. I think Robert Kirkman has talked about that in an interview. But so far, I really like the Invincible TV show. It's definitely very gritty, very violent, but there's a lot of deep, rich storytelling and seeing Mark Grayson kind of, defeat the odds against him. Having that constant battle of, am I good enough? Am I good enough to be a hero? He's constantly going through that adversity. And more, he just keeps getting stronger and stronger, no matter what villain comes in his way. Because I'm gonna tell you, season three, that final battle in season three, that's probably Mark Grayson's biggest threat yet, and it's only going to get crazy from there. You know, it's only going to get crazy from there. So, seeing Mark again overcome, even down to just kind of facing other things while trying to protect his family, while trying to not feel like he has to play second fiddle to Cecil. All these things he's fighting through. So I think Invincible, while yes, it's a very bloody and gory and gritty show, I think it's still good in the fact of there's a lot of, again, rich storytelling, but also just really good like voiceover work. The art is like really good too. I feel like a lot of people kind of go at the art style, but as someone who watched a lot of Warner Brothers, Young Justice growing up, I'm used to the style of Invincible because I feel like Young Justice kind of had a style similar to that, and I love Young Justice. That's one show I would definitely recommend. If you love the Justice League, if you love DC characters, and you're all about figuring out the next generation of heroes after Superman, after Batman, after Wonder Woman, I think Young Justice is a really good show to watch because you get the opportunity to meet a lot of the younger heroes and kind of see how they deal with certain situations. So Young Justice is definitely a show I would recommend. It's a bummer that Young Justice isn't getting another season because there's so much story to tell with Young Justice. So yeah. Hey, welcome by Lacole's place. I hope you're doing good. If you're doing good today. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Invincible. Like I said, Young Justice, really good superhero show as well. It's on Max. I've been trying to find the physical releases for Young Justice because I'm trying to collect physical DVDs for certain shows and movies that I enjoy. I definitely want to start a collection up. So I need to figure out where I can find like all the seasons of just Young Justice as a whole and try to see if I can get them. But yeah, what else have we had? CinemaCon was crazy. There was a lot that came out in CinemaCon. Uh, I will talk about Superman. All right, so with Superman, as you know, we got a 5 minute teaser that came out. So originally they were posing the 5 minute teaser to be played before the Minecraft movie, but I think it got leaked online, and so they officially released it online. We got to see Superman. That scene in the trailer where he falls down into the snow, and as you can see, he's hurt. Superman is hurt, and he whistles for Crypto. Crypto, take me home. We find out that he's talking about the Fortress of Solitude, which the Fortress of Solitude looks amazing, like really good. I was really shocked to see them do a very natural take of the Fortress of Solitude. So that was a very welcome change. We see Superman at the door. Crypto, he barks. The doors open. Superman's robots come in, and they're like, Superman. They're speaking Kryptonian. You can hear Kryptonian just a little bit. Then they're like, Superman, are you hurt? And they carry him onto a little bed here in his Fortress of Solitude. And one of the robots is like, there's no need to thank me. I have no emotions, or something like that. There's a whole like thing with that. But then there's another robot, and she's like, "Oh, this is Superman," and he kind of acknowledges her, and she's like all giddy about it and whatnot. So then again, they carry him to the table. He's hurt, and you see some machine that's rolling around, and the Fortress of Solitude is shifting. And when it shifts, the rays from the sun start to hit Superman. And when the rays from the sun hit the Superman, the yellow sun, you see him powering up. Like it's not a what you would call like a painful thing, but it's sort of like it's healing him in a way, right? You see in the thumbnail, that's actually the reasoning for the thumbnail, is he's healing up from the scars and the injuries he's gotten. Will we find out what that is? I'm sure we will. Is it Lex Luthor? Is it that big monster-looking creature that we see in the trailer? We'll have to find that out. But he does the yell. He's like, "Ah!" Like he's trying to heal himself from the yellow sun, and that was it. After that, that was sort of them showing the trailer again, but with some extra dialogue and some extra little scenes in there. But other than that, like that was it for the sneak peek. Uh, I thought that was good for them to release it online because I don't think everybody's trying to go to the Minecraft movie to go see just a 5 minute teaser from Superman, which was really halfway of it was just footage we seen from the trailer. So that was that. Also, speaking of the Minecraft movie, I don't know what was going on. I mean, the Minecraft movie right now is like one of the biggest box office movies, which I mean that makes sense because Minecraft is such a big popular game. But I saw the movie, and personally, I'm not a fan of it. It's just not for me. Like, it's not what I think a Minecraft movie would be in my eyes. But again, everybody's gonna have a different vision on these things. So for me, I didn't enjoy it, but for someone else, they might have enjoyed the Minecraft movie. I mean, the chicken jockey meme, it's everywhere. Jack Black just saying stuff, just you know, uh, so like funny, like that, like that's Jack Black. So he's the charm of the film for sure. But I think as far as like the Minecraft movie as a whole, I don't think it's my favorite, video game adaptation. When I think of good video game adaptations, I think of, the Sonic movies. I think of, the Tomb Raider series on Netflix. I think of, You know, the Cuphead show. I think of like different video game adaptations, and trust me, we've had a lot of great ones over the years. You know, in the past we've had some questionable ones, but I think video game adaptations. Oh, Fallout! I can't forget Fallout as well. Really good adaptation. But I think over the years, video game adaptations are getting more and more better as time goes on, and I think that even with the Minecraft movie, even though I personally didn't connect with the film, I still think there is a market out there for people who enjoy something like the Minecraft movie. You know, they can continue that franchise, and maybe over time it could be like how the Sonic movie is. You know what I mean? Because the first Sonic movie, it was a very campy movie, but I personally love the first Sonic movie. I enjoyed it. I love the campiness about it. But over time, we saw the franchise start to kind of lean more into the faithfulness of the video game, and that's why I think people are excited for Sonic 4. People love Sonic 3 just based off of what they were able to do, the references, all that. And I think if they are to make a Minecraft movie too, I think they're going to take into consideration maybe some of those things. So over time, who knows? It could get better and better with each movie. So if there is a Minecraft movie too, I wouldn't be opposed to, going to see it, because who knows? It could be better than the first one. So that's just my thought process on it. Again, the first movie didn't connect with me, but maybe the second one will. So it's all just a matter of that. But yeah. Also, people gotta chill, man. People in the theaters throwing popcorn, drinks, bringing real life chickens to the theaters for the chicken jockey thing. I think people have to chill. I saw a lot of videos of people just losing their absolute minds in the theaters, and it's like, yo, people work. These aren't robots who are doing this. These are real humans who are like working in these theaters. Like, it's okay to be excited. You can be excited for something, but I think there's a limit to the excitement. You know what I mean? Throwing popcorn, again, bringing real life chickens, fighting people, stripping completely naked, just stuff like that. Like, it's uncalled for. It's uncalled for. And I think people just need to take that into consideration when it comes to being in movie theaters and stuff like that. Like, be considerate of other people, be considerate of the people that work there, because again, at the end of the day, these aren't robots who are operating these movie theaters. These are real human beings. And they're working as hard as they can to bring you the entertainment, that you enjoy, that we all enjoy. So I think that's just a matter of respect from there. But other than that, that was that. Again, we got like posters for Superman. A lot of Superman merch was coming out, has been coming out as of recently, so there's that. They're really ramping up the marketing for that. Fantastic Four, we just got a trailer for that last week. Really enjoyed it. I was really going to do a reaction to it. Just didn't have the motivation to do it, unfortunately. But I did check it out, and I did like what I saw. We saw the Silver Surfer. She looks really cool. I liked her design. I like that they're just tapping into the 60s world in the Fantastic Four. I think that's a new, fresh take that for me personally, I love as someone who, grew up and adored the Silver Age comics realm of things. I think seeing like the Fantastic Four in this 60s setting where they're the only heroes, there's no Spider-Man, there's no Iron Man, there's no X-Men, it's just them. I appreciate that more because that gives Marvel the opportunity in the future, after Secret Wars, to kind of do separate things. They don't have to focus on everything connecting to one big final Ruha. They can do separate stories. They can do separate things. And so I think Fantastic Four just opens the door to more possibilities like that in the future. So again, I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four. I wasn't set on Joseph Quinn being, Johnny. But after that little clip and just kind of seeing a little bit more of him in the trailer, I'm starting to warm up to him as Johnny. And yeah, I mean Ben Grimm. Ben Grimm looks really good. I love the classic design of Ben Grimm. Seeing him pick up that car and smiling with the kids, that was just very like Silver Age comic like vibe right there. So a lot of cool things, a lot of dope visuals in that trailer. I'm really curious about how they're going to get out of this whole situation of Galactus, consuming their planet. How is that? How are they gonna, pull through with that? What sacrifices will they have to make? Because obviously we know, which that's another thing. Obviously we know they're gonna be, joining the rest of the cast in Avengers Doomsday, which I want to know. I don't know if anyone will answer, but I want to know, did anyone sit there for 5 hours to watch the chairs? Because I'm going to tell you, me and my buddies, when we were on call, we sat there for 5 hours just to see what chairs were going to be put up next, who was coming up next. And I tell you, some people will say that was overkill, but I'll tell you this, that was a smart marketing strategy because it literally made people sit there for 5 hours to see who was going to join the cast. And it was just a fun little thing to do if you had friends or whatnot. It was just a fun little thing to kind of theorize, okay, we know, Thor is going to be in there. We know Captain America is going to be in there. We know Bucky and the Thunderbolts are going to be in there. We know all of that. Who's going to be next? And I tell you, when we heard that X-Men music, I freaked out because I have been wanting the X-Men in some kind of project for a while. If you guys don't know, the X-Men are like my top five. When it comes to characters in Marvel that I love, obviously you got Spider-Man, you got Daredevil, you got Black Panther, you have the X-Men, all these characters, right? So when I heard the X-Men theme, I freaked out. James Marsden. Then they pulled out, Ian McKellen. You have, all these like legacy characters from the X-Men movies coming back in this film. It was just a big, like, exciting moment. And I enjoyed that. I really did. I enjoyed that. Hopefully we get another reveal like that. Maybe not as long, but we do know that that was like 26 people revealed to be in Avengers Doomsday. There's like 27 more, so hopefully we find out who the other remaining members are. And I think the reason why they did that is because I honestly feel like Marvel knew that this stuff was gonna get leaked out. They knew people were gonna be on set trying to get pictures because there's already stuff out there now for the film. But they knew people were gonna be out there, trying to get whatever they can, scoop they can get. They get people talking. Oh my God, James Marsden is on set of Avengers Doomsday, so they wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way so they can shut that down immediately and just kind of do course control. So I think that was smart on their end to reveal some of the people, that are going to be starring in this movie. And it's in production right now. They're building sets for it, all that stuff. I'm sure some of the actors have probably been on set, so they're getting stuff together for it. So again, I'm just really curious about what they're going to do. Again, I'm still not set on, Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. Still not set on it, but I will try to give it the benefit of the doubt just to see where it could go. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm talking and you guys are commenting. Carson, what's up, man? I hope you're still in here. Big 3K subs for soon for sure. Yeah, man, for sure. Chicken jockey, yeah. Hey, Rescue Squad, what's up, man? Thank you for dropping by. All good if you can't stay long. We're just chilling. Hey, what's up? What's up, Kay? How you doing, man? I think you were trying to ask me a question. I'm here if you need anything. But yeah, as far as that, like, Avengers Doomsday. Again, Fantastic Four, we talked about that. Is there anything else that I haven't talked about? I don't know if there's anything else that I haven't talked about yet. I feel like there is something though. Um, I definitely wanted to talk about, but I don't know what. So I'm gonna open it up to you guys. If you have any questions, if you guys have anything that you want me to talk about, definitely let me know. I'd be down to kind of hear your thoughts or what you think about certain things. Just kind of keeping the conversation going or whatnot. Your boy is just chilling right now. Again, trying to trying to get into the mindset of just coming back and whatnot, and just again thinking of some things to do. Also, I'm gonna take this opportunity to ask this question. Also for those who are watching on replay, if you have any suggestions as well, I'd love to hear them. Seeing as I did my first interview and you guys seem to enjoy it, I enjoy doing it. Is there anyone that you would like for me to interview in the future? Let me know. It could be, anyone that works at Marvel, DC, Looney Tunes, Cartoon Network. It doesn't matter. Just anyone that you would like for me to do an interview with. Let me know, and I will try to work something out. I'll try to see what I can do to get that figured out. And it doesn't even have to be just in that if comic books, if you want me to interview someone who does comic books, I'd be down to try to get that set up. One of my dream interviews, I actually have two. Two of my dream interviews would be Jim Lee. Love Jim Lee, one of my favorite comic book artists of all time. So it'd be great to sit back and vibe with him and just kind of ask him questions about him, his work as a comic book artist, and just kind of what's like being, ahead of DC in a way, and what was it like working on the X-Men and stuff like that. So that's definitely a dream interview there. And Brian Lee O'Malley, which I'm sure all of you know, creator of Scott Pilgrim. I love Scott Pilgrim, so it would be awesome to kind of see what things he loves about Scott Pilgrim and just his other projects as well. And again, be dope to ask you guys about questions as well about just different things with the Scott Pilgrim universe, and just his other projects as well. He's a very interesting person. I watch his Twitch streams a lot. He does a lot of drawing streams, as well as Jim Lee. He does some drawing streams as well. I think he did one like maybe a month or two ago, but really good on Twitch. So yeah, I'd be down to interview anyone that you guys would want me to interview. Um, but yeah, just let me know. Hey Jace, I found out there's a new Batman Part 2. Yes, there is. As of right now, the Batman Part 2 is kind of in like a it's kind of like in a break, a stale moment at the moment, because originally the film was supposed to come out this year. It got delayed. The film was supposed to come out next year. Got delayed. So now it's coming out in 2027. So with that being said, we don't really know as far as the Batman 2 is happening as of right now, and I think it's going to happen. It's just that right now it's kind of in a break period. There's definitely been talks, and it definitely seems like they want to do the Batman 2. I heard that they were possibly going to start filming later this year. I don't know if that's still going to be the case anymore, because there are reports saying that, you know, there hasn't been a script turned in for the Batman 2. So again, it's just kind of in that, like, we don't really know what's going on right now. Maybe Matt Reeves, maybe he kind of is taking a break with the film right now. Maybe he's got some other projects lined up. I don't know what may be going on, but I think Matt Reeves might be just kind of maybe he's not sure about what to do with the Batman 2. Maybe he is sure, but he's trying to figure out a plan of how to get to the end goal. But I'm sure the Batman 2 is gonna come out. I hope it does because I mean the Batman. I mean that was a really good film. I watched that in IMAX. You know that came out during the pandemic, but I watched that in the IMAX theater and it was amazing. Seeing that, the Batman is definitely one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. I think that really, if I'm being honest, that might be my favorite live action adaptation of Batman. I think, obviously Michael Keaton's Batman holds a special place in my heart because those were the movies me and my dad watched. Uh, love the Prince album of Batman 1989. I mean, that's just a iconic movie within itself. So I respect, that version for what it did. Also rest in peace to Val Kimmer. He passed away. He played Batman as well. So yeah, rest in peace to him. And it's everyone's gonna have their favorite Batman. It doesn't matter, what era you're from. Some people like the Adam West Batman. Some people like, Michael Keaton. Some people like Christoph, Christian Bell. Some people like Robert Pattinson. Some people like Kevin Conroy. Some people like the one from Batman Cape Crusader. I can't remember his name right now. Hamish Linklater. Some people like his version. Everybody's gonna have a favorite version of Batman that they grown with. So I think that for me, obviously Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy is my favorite Batman of all time. I grew up with Batman the animated series. I grew up with the video games and stuff that he voiced the character in, and so Kevin Conroy will always hit home for me as like the definitive Batman. Like whenever I read Batman comics, I literally visualize and hear Kevin Conroy's voice when reading the comics. So it's always him. But when I'm thinking about a younger Batman, it's Robert Pattinson when it comes to a younger Batman story. So again, it's the same with reading Spider-Man. Some people are going to read in Yuri Lowenthal. Some people are going to read in Josh Keaton. Some people are going to read it in Hudson Thames. Some people are going to read it in Christopher Daniel Barnes. So many different people. Maybe Tom Holland. Maybe Tobey Maguire. Maybe Andrew Garfield. So again, so many people have played this character over the years. So you're gonna instantly think about who your Spider-Man is and who you gravitate to, towards more. So that's the amazing thing about it. Um, but yeah, the Batman 2 is happening. Just gotta figure out when they're gonna start filming and stuff and all of that. But obviously, like the stars have talked about it. They're very eager to come back. They want to come back for part two, and especially with how the Penguin ended. There's a lot of story there because that was one of the big questions on everyone's mind throughout the series. Where's Batman during all of this? What's going on? And when we got this shot at the end of the Penguin with the bat signal, we were all like, "Oh yeah, this is about to get good now. Business is about to pick up." So we're gonna see where they go with that. But if you were to ask me a villain I would like to see, in the Batman Part 2, the Court of Owls. Why I say the Court of Owls? The Court of Owls. I would definitely love to see the Court of Owls, as a villain for Part 2, because I think that's a story we haven't seen yet in a live action form. We've seen it in animation before, but I think as far as what I can remember in live action, we haven't seen that yet. So I think that would be really cool to see like a Court of Owls storyline with Battinson. Um, so yeah, either that or Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is definitely another compelling villain that I think Giancarlo Esposito, he said in an interview he would love to play Mr. Freeze, and I'm like, you haven't. That's a perfect Mr. Freeze right there. That is absolutely perfect. And I like fan casted him as Norman Osborn. But after Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Coleman Domingo kind of took that fan casting for me. I was very shocked by Coleman Domingo in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and he knocked it out the park. He really did. He knocked it out the park. So again, um, again, you never know. You never know what casting. You never know what you might get. So yeah, you said you want Killer Croc and Clayface. I don't know much about Killer Croc. I definitely need to do some research on Killer Croc because again, I just don't know too much about the character. But Clayface, I could definitely see Clayface as well. Um, I know there is a Clayface movie in the DCU that James Gunn is working on. Well, not James Gunn, but that's a part of the DCU lineup. And I believe Clayface that comes out next year. So they probably are going to start filming on that pretty soon. We just got today, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we just got the logo for Supergirl. It's not I think it's really going to be titled just Supergirl. Like how Superman was. Obviously when it was announced, it was Superman Legacy. Then it got changed to Superman. So when Supergirl was announced, it was Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. So it seems like they're just, going to title it Supergirl, which again, it's clean. It's nice, kind of new, fresh start for the DCU. But I will say, I really like the logo for Supergirl. It's very different. It's the same emblem as Superman, but the colors are different. It's a red. It's still got that red, but it's got a blue. It's got blue instead of the yellow, which I really enjoy. The yellow is actually on the outside, so they are still kind of keeping that. They are still kind of keeping the yellow trim around the logo. That's still something that they're gonna keep in. But as far as like the logo, again, the colors are different. So I like it personally. I'm very excited for Supergirl. I think Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is a really good story. If you have not read it, definitely go read it because a lot of the events that are going to happen in the film, I think, will be happening from that comic. So I think it's definitely like worth checking out. As far as like Superman, I think Superman for All Seasons is a good one. All Star Superman, there's definitely some elements of that. And I think there's like another Superman story that has some elements that they're taken from the movie as well. That's like really good. But yeah, really looking forward to what DC has, going on over there. A lot of people are kind of inanimate about DC, which I understand because we had the previous regime, and with that, they were very, they were trying to. I feel like the previous regime was trying to do the opposite of Marvel while trying to chase Marvel's success, and I'm not saying that in any way to say that oh yeah DC's trying to be Marvel. It's not that. I just think that as far as like them trying to reach like a successful standpoint in their eyes, they were kind of seeing what Marvel was doing, and they were trying to capitalize off of that in their own means. And I just think personally it just did not work out in their favor like they wanted. But I think with this previous regime with James Gunn and Peter Safran definitely do seem like they have a plan. They have an idea of where they want to take the DCU. I think it's going to be different than what we've seen before. The vibes are going to feel different. I think even just an element of new characters, well, not just new characters, but introducing, not very well known characters. Like, again, Creature Commandos. Who would have thought that you would introduce a team like Creature Commandos into the DCU? That's like what you start out with. But I really enjoyed Creature Commandos. I really did. I had fun with it. I had fun with the characters. I hope we get to see some of those characters in some of the live action stuff. It would be fun to just see how they interact with the greater DCU in itself. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what DC has going on. I'm looking forward to what Marvel has going on. You know, even though I will say that there are some projects that I'm kind of adamant on checking out, I still think there's a lot of good stuff coming from Marvel as well, and I think it's just a great time as like a comic book fan in general that we're having both Marvel and DC, as well as Image Comics and Robert Kirkman and The Boys and Invincible and things like that. Like, I don't think we've had an any bigger and better time for the comic book franchise than this era. You know what I mean? There was a lot of comic book content out there back in the early 2000s and stuff like that, but I just feel like the comic book franchise as a whole has blossomed into this big flower patch of, endless possibilities, genres of things that they can take: supernatural, cosmic, horror, crime, thriller, mystery. Like, it's all there in comics. If you read comics, it's all there. And the superhero genre really takes hold of a lot of those genre elements. And so that's why that I feel that the superhero comic book realm of things can survive, because there's so much that you can pull from and not get tired of it. So yeah, I don't think we come at a better time to have a lot of the comic book stuff that we have. But yeah, that's yeah, that's like a mouthful. I should probably cut that up into a short because I think that would be kind of cool. Kind of talk about the comic book franchise as a whole, and yeah, I think that might be an idea that I do. But yeah, you guys have any other things that you would like to talk about? I know usually we'd have more people. I think people are kind of busy or kind of forgotten just about me and stuff, or just been busy with stuff. So I definitely understand, but I'm sure that if I stream more or try to do more content and whatnot, I'm sure people will come back. But this is kind of like a very like chill stream where I just wanted to talk with you guys about stuff and whatnot. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we had? Oh, okay. I can definitely talk about this now. I'm thinking about it. So I was expecting at CinemaCon for there to be something about the Michael Jackson biopic. We didn't get any news, but apparently, they're thinking about cutting the film into two films because there's like over 4 hours of footage from the biopic that they filmed. So the plan, reportedly, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but reportedly, the plan is to cut the film into two and to put both parts of the film out next year. That's the goal. Will they do that? I don't know. But if they do decide to cut the film into two parts, I'll say this. I think it would be interesting because, Michael Jackson is the biggest entertainer of all time. And I know a lot of people will try to argue, Taylor Swift and Beyonce and things like that, but I think as far as like when it comes to being an entertainer, I think Michael Jackson just tops it by a universe because he was just on a different time. As a musician, as an artist, as an entertainer, as a philanthropist, like he was just on a different time. And you know, I think my thing is I feel like I feel like people are so busy trying to chase, his coattails instead of just being, them, Not everybody needs to be the next king of pop. Not people, people don't have to be the next Michael Jackson. Be you. Be great at who you are because that's what Michael Jackson did. I mean, yeah, Michael Jackson had a lot of influences in his life, but he took what was his own while also having that influence and inspiration from other artists. He took that into and made it his own, and that's why he was able to thrive in this world like he was. As far as like again being an entertainer, he's just on his different level, and I think people just have to realize it's okay being on your own level. You don't have to, be again. You don't have to be the next Michael Jackson. You don't have to be the next Prince. You don't have to be the next Whitney Houston. You can just be you. Be you, and people will rock with you for who you are. And that was a big lesson I learned, and a big lesson I'm still learning to this day of just being myself. And you'll see how far life will take you. And I don't know, maybe I'll go back and come back to all these live streams 10 years from now. And maybe I will make an impact on someone's life. But I just want to say, like, I didn't think about that, aspect of just making an impact. I just wanted to create something. I think that was a big thing for me, is just wanting to create, because it's in my soul, it's in my soul, it's in my heart to create. And I just wanted to give people a sense of give people a sense of entertainment. Everybody's going through something right now, rather it's things going on in family, or you're not getting paid the amount at your job, or just so many different things. Everybody's going through a situation, and I just wanted to give people a sense of a place where, you know regardless of what you go through, there's always some positive. And if if that's my job, if that's my destiny to, give people that sense of positivity, that sense of hope, that sense of family, then that I've served my purpose. And I would not change anything about that. I would not regret it. I just I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody who just, tunes in to, the streams, the videos, everything that I do. I really do appreciate it, because it never goes unnoticed, and it never goes unthought of. So again, but yeah, you said, what's up? You said, keep grinding, man. Can't believe there's a new Smurfs movie coming out. Rihanna is as Smurfette. Yeah, there is a new Smurfs movie. Yeah, Rihanna's gonna be Smurfette, and I think it's a musical. I believe I believe like I did a short or a video about that like some years ago, that Smurfs movie was going to be a musical. So that's gonna be interesting. I know people don't like musicals. Some people think it's weird or think it's cringe, but for me, being as a theater kid, I was a theater kid, so for me, musicals, I never really found them cringe because I like them. The Wiz, West Side Story, Hamilton, all those like musicals and stuff. Rent, I enjoyed those, so I have no problem with musicals. I said before, and I'll say it again. I went to see Wicked, and I didn't expect to like Wicked as much as I did. And I left out of the theater saying, you know what? I got to see part two, which I believe they had some footage at CinemaCon for Wicked for Good. So it seems like Wicked for Good is definitely going to pick up where the events of Wicked, kind of ended off. And I know Wicked 2 is supposed to come out this year. So I definitely need to see like how that story is going to end, how it's going to turn out. Because I think as far as like the music, but also visually, it's like visually very well done. So I have to see that second movie. But yeah, um, definitely going to be interesting to see how that Smurfs movie is going to play out. So we'll have to see on that front. But yeah, this summer is packed with movies. We got Thunderbolts coming out next week. We have, Superman, Fantastic Four, Jurassic. We have the Smurfs movie. Uh, Final Destination Bloodlines. A lot of Mission Impossible. A lot of dope movies and stuff that's coming out. Sinners just came out. Sinners is good. Uh, from what I saw, and also from what I heard, like Sinners is good. So again, a lot of like great movies out there that's been coming out this year. Um, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to just the future of cinema as a whole. I think there's so many like continuing stories, but also original stories that we haven't seen before, that it just gets me excited for the future of where movies and TV shows and television is going to go. I just hope that we can get to a point where companies can stop focusing, can focus less on, you know, I want to get to a point where companies can focus less on what angry internet fans online have to say, and just kind of try to do creative risks, because everything that you do in life is a risk. you know you going to the mailbox today is a risk, because you never know what's going to happen. You may get a letter in the mail, you may not. Everything that you do is a risk, but if you're willing to take that risk, a good risk, not a bad one. I'm not saying jump off the Empire State Building. No, definitely don't do that. But a good risk that may help you, progress your life forward, I'd say go for it, because you never know where it may take you. But yeah, I might end the stream in a few. I'm trying to see if maybe more people will come in. If not, it's all good. I'm sure people are just busy. It is Tuesday. I'm not sure if people have things going on Tuesday. I know I usually stream on Wednesday, so maybe I should have streamed tomorrow. Maybe I should stream tomorrow. Do you guys want me to stream tomorrow? I'd be down to stream tomorrow. I don't have anything planned for tomorrow. At least I don't think so. I'd have to check, but I don't think tomorrow I'd have anything planned. So maybe I can try to figure out a stream topic that I could talk about. I'd love to dive into Fantastic Four a little bit more, because there's some things there I definitely want to talk about as far as like the trailers and stuff. So should I talk about Fantastic Four? Let me know. I'd love to dive into that. But yeah, I think that's it. I just think as a whole, like I'm just excited just to see where stuff is gonna go, you know, with the channel, but also again with the entertainment side of things, and yeah. So I just want to say your boy is back. Your boy is alive and well. He's doing good. Again, I just need to take a break because I was burnt out and just didn't have really any motivation to do any content over the past few months. But I really do appreciate everybody, in the comments asking me, hey, where's the next video? Where's the next video? Where's the next live stream? I appreciate that, because those comments help motivate me to try to keep going and just working on more of this content and just bringing more great content to you guys. Um, this this has felt like a hobby for so long, and even now it still feels just like the first day I got on camera. It doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like a chore. It just feels like a space that I can just, open. It's like a book that I can always open. And when I close that book, I know it's always going to be there. Like that chapter is still going to be there when I mark it down. So that's what YouTube is to me. And again, thank you all so much for that, for this journey, for everything. We got plenty more to do. Big goal is to try to reach that big 100,000 subscribers one day, so I can have that nice shiny plaque on my wall. You see, this wall is empty back here, which I'm hoping not to be at this same area forever. I don't want to be. But I promise you, I will get a plaque on this wall. We're gonna make it happen. We're the dream team. If I don't do anything else, I'm gonna make sure we get a plaque on this wall. So that's definitely a goal. Again, thank you all so much. It's been an honor to do these live streams. Like I said, I might do one tomorrow at 5 regular time, Wednesday at 5. I should probably do like a meme for with the Fantastic Four with Reed Richards says seven, 7 o'clock on the dot on Sunday. We're all here. I should probably do that with streams. That'd probably be a nice little thing to do. I'll try to see if I could do something like that. Oh, yo, what's up? Superman or Fantastic Four? Oh, that is a good question. I'm excited for both. I'm excited for both, but I'll give you a short answer. I'd say Fantastic Four just a little, just a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm just as excited for Superman as I am Fantastic Four. But Fantastic Four just a little bit more because I think Fantastic Four it's a risk. It's a big take, and I think Marvel is taking a big swing at the Fantastic Four, not like they haven't done it before, but I think this is the first time ever that the MCU is doing a Fantastic Four in such a way, in such a spectacle that I feel like it's gonna change a lot of it's going to change a lot of the dynamic with Marvel going forward now that we have Marvel's first family introduced. But I think Superman again is a big swing for DC as well because this is the start of a brand new era for DC. And there's a lot there's a lot of stakes to see when it comes to that. So both movies I'm looking forward to, but Fantastic Four just a little bit. Are you going to see Are you going to see the Thunderbolts? Yes, I am. I'm going to see the Thunderbolts. Really looking forward to it. I've actually saw on Twitter a lot of great. I believe they did the screening in the UK for the Thunderbolts and whatnot, and I think there's some other screenings that they've done. I didn't get invited. I would love to get invited to an early screening or a premiere for some of the Marvel movies. I would love that in the future if that was made a possibility. But to answer your question, yes, I'm going to see Thunderbolts. Seeing a lot of the reviews that are coming out, they look good. I'm hearing that the movie is going to have 2 post-credit scenes. So I'm very curious, and I'm kind of theorizing right now in my head what those 2 post-credit scenes are going to be. But as far as the movie, yeah, I'm looking forward to Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts is a big swing in itself because Marvel is taking a group of characters who aren't the Avengers, who aren't the X-Men, and teaming them up, into this movie to fight whoever it is that we're going to see, so, yeah. What about you? Are you going to see Thunderbolts? And also, I'd like to know, yo, are you Team Superman or Team Fantastic Four? Are you Team both? Both wear blue, so, I will see everything. Awesome, awesome, awesome. As you should. Like I said, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, Superman. I think they're all going to be. I just have a good feeling about all 3 of those movies. I really do. I have a really good feeling about those films, and I think they're all 3 of them are going to be good. I really do. Your team Superman, understandable. Superman is more important. Understandable. Yeah. And if you were to make that argument, I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't disagree with you because he is very important. He's very important to DC and the history of DC. It started with Superman. It started with him. Same with the Fantastic Four. It started with the Fantastic Four. So, you know, both of these projects are so, and that's what another reason why I'm just so excited for both movies, because these are the characters that really brought us where we are today. Without Superman, there is no DC, there is no Batman. You know, this there is no Joker and Harley Quinn and all these characters. You know, I don't know what we would even be talking about right now. Would comic books even be a thing today? Like, it's such a big thing, and even on the Marvel side of things too. Without Fantastic Four, there is no Spider Man, there is no Avengers, there is no X Men. So these movies all fall into that category of why there's such an important and vital structure for both franchises. With Marvel, who's been running it, for years, and with DC, the DCU starting brand new. If Superman fails, the DCU will not. I will be sad if Superman fails. I understand, and yeah, I definitely understand. Again, that's why this is such a big swing for DC, because you're starting fresh. It's not easy to start fresh, you know. But for this, there's so much that they're banking on. And again, if Superman doesn't succeed, where do they go from here? Where does the DCU go from here? And I want Superman to succeed. I really do. I want it to succeed. I want to see James Gunn and Peter Safran live out the plans of future projects and things that they are working on. Because I really do feel like James Gunn and Peter Safran really do have a concrete plan of what they want to do over at the DC, for the DCU. So I want to see it play out. I really do. I have a good feeling about Superman. I think Superman is going to be a good success. I think Fantastic Four is going to be a good success for Marvel. I want both films to succeed. I've never been of I've never been of the whole Marvel versus DC thing. I've always felt like the Marvel versus DC thing has just been so overdone and overplayed out because both companies interacted with each other. Both companies interacted with each other. And you can tell in when their ideas. When the creator of Superman came out with Superman, Stan Lee had called the creator and said, like, hey man, what y'all got going on over at DC? Oh, we got Superman. We got Superman. He comes from Krypton, all that stuff. And then, Stan Lee's looking like, hmm. What if I create Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four, with cosmic abilities? And I just make them, and you saw how big the Fantastic Four became. So again, I just never really got the whole Marvel versus DC thing because Marvel and DC have intertwined in more ways than people realize. And it's all there. The history's all there. Who will be the next Batman? That is a good question. That's something we'll definitely have to figure out. A lot of people saying Alan Richardson from The Reacher. A lot of people saying many different people. I honestly don't know. I don't know who could be the next Batman for DC. I honestly don't know. They'd have to they'd have to cast someone with range, and I mean range. You know what I mean? Like they can't just go all in on Batman, but not go all in on uh, Bruce Wayne. Like you have to find someone who's able to handle both and do it in such a balance. Kind of like how Charlie Cox, plays Matt Murdock. He plays Matt Murdock this way, but then he plays Daredevil this another way. So you have to find someone who has that range, who can do that. Um, it isn't always about who's the buffest actor you can get. It isn't always the who's the most brooding, gravelly voiced actor that you can get to play the character. I think it's about, again, the range of, Bruce Wayne and Batman, what they're willing to bring to it. And that's why I say, like, when you think about past Batman actors like Kevin Conroy, who, yeah, we didn't see him in live action don the suit, but through Batman the Animated Series, when you obviously knew his Bruce Wayne and you knew his Batman, and they were two different people. They weren't the same person. Yes, it's voiced by the same person, but they were two individual personalities. So they need to find someone who's versatile in that nature. What do you want to see in Avengers Doomsday? I want to see Spider Man, but probably not. Um, I. That's a good question. I want to see Spider Man in Avengers Doomsday, but with Spider Man Brand New Day, that's going to be coming out in between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't know if Spidey is going to be involved. I mean, maybe he could be involved like in the background, but as far as a story focused on him, maybe they're going to focus on him in Battle Worlds. Maybe that's something they do. Maybe they do like a Ant-Man and the Wasp where it's pre, Infinity War. Maybe they do the same thing here. So I don't know. There's so many routes and avenues that could take Spider-Man Brand New Day. I just hope that the story is good. I just hope that whatever they decide to do, it's a worthwhile story to continue Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That's all I can hope. You know, I don't trust in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Brand New Day looks so in trouble. I can understand that sentiment because again people are trying to wonder if the film is going to be street level, is it going to be multiversal, is it going to be a little bit of both. So people are really trying to find out like, okay, what is this film going to have? We have Sadie Sink in there, she's been cast, but who is she? Is she Jean Grey? Is she Firestar? Is she some other character? You know, People are trying to figure that out. And then there's been casting of, uh, some casting of someone in their 20s, a casting for someone in their 30s and 50s. Could be Mr. Negative. There was rumors before even all of this where there's a thing with Ghost Rider and Mephisto. There's been so many rumors to come out of, Spider-Man 4 and Spider-Man Brand New Day that I honestly don't know where they could go. I mean, they could take some elements from the Brand New Day comic, which I'm sure they probably will because, kind of in a way, when you really think about it, with One More Day and Brand New Day, they kind of already set up a little bit of those elements. It's just different. Instead of it being Mephisto making a deal with Peter about him and MJ's marriage, it's more of Doctor Strange kind of being like, hey, if you want to, continue being Spider-Man, you're going to have to forget everyone that you knew. Everyone's going to have to forget you. And so, we obviously saw how that played out in No Way Home. So in a way, they kind of already set it up, but it's just kind of in a place of where are they gonna take it next? Where are we gonna go next? So yeah, I definitely understand your sentiment there. Reboot or soft reboot after Secret Wars? I say reboot. I say just reboot it. I think it's okay with it's okay to get new actors, maybe a new up and coming generation to take over the roles for these characters. I'm all for that because, you know, Chris Hemsworth can only play Thor for as long as he can. You know, uh, Hugh Jackman can only play Wolverine for as long as he can. I know this the running joke he's gonna play Wolverine until he's 90, but still, even then, that's a long time to be trying to be playing Wolverine. So they're gonna. I think Marvel's gonna have to figure out. We're gonna need a new team of X-Men. We're gonna need a young team of Avengers. We're gonna need a young Spider-Man. We're gonna need a young Fantastic Four. So I just think personally, they need to reboot the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that's why X-Men I think that's why it's good for them to go the X-Men route after Secret Wars, because now this gives them time. This gives them time to kind of say like, okay, we got our X-Men set. We got a young cast for X-Men. They can play these characters for as long as we need them to play them for. Let's work on who should be the next Captain America, who should be the next Spider-Man, who should be the next Iron Man, who should be the next Scarlet Witch. All these things they can figure out in due time while working with the X-Men. So that's my thought on it. That's how I feel about it. I don't get how Pedro Pascal will be Reed Richards in 10 years. That I feel the same way. Like I said, these actors aren't getting any younger. With each year they're getting more and more older. And certain things they're not going to be able to do, and certain roles they may not want to play. So again, I think they just need to reboot it after Secret Wars. Start fresh, start new, and go from there. You know? This gives them the opportunity also to tell stories that they weren't able to tell before. So, yeah. Your opinion on Ironheart, Power Man, and all that series. As far as like Ironheart right now, I'm 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 willing to give Ironheart a chance. I'm a little adamant on Ironheart for right now. I don't really know where they could take that series. So I want to be willing to give it a chance. I think Marvel Zombies, I don't think I'm interested in. And it's no disrespect to anyone that works on Marvel Zombies or anything, or just the concept of Marvel Zombies. I think Marvel Zombies is a dope concept. But I think I see Marvel Zombies running into the same issue that What If had with the limitations. And I think with X-Men 97 and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, what both of those shows proved is that when you're not limited to a certain creative, freedom, then you're able to tell more, big, grandiose stories than you would with something that's kind of locking you down into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what that is what held What If back for me, is that it felt so limited to the MCU. Like if it was just its own thing where they could do different animation styles for each episode. Like I honestly feel like What If could have been like a secret level type thing. You know how secret level on Amazon, you had the different video games. Each style is different. Each universe is different, and I like that about secret level. I feel like What If should have been like that. We should have had different animation styles. We should have seen like a Blade in like an anime type style. We should have seen like a Moon Knight in kind of like a um I would have loved to see Moon Knight in like a the show. What's the show I'm thinking of right now? It's on Cartoon Network. It was on Cartoon Network. God, what was that show? But just like different styles. Like maybe have the Fantastic Four in like a '60s comic book like cartoonish vibe or something. Like I said, there's so many different ideas and elements of just even stories with like what if Daredevil, you know what if Daredevil, I don't know, like what if Daredevil was king of like the cosmic space or something, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different weird and out there ideas they could have done for what if, that I just feel like, it's unfortunate that they kind of just limited things. And then I don't think it did it any favors with them at the end having all the different possibilities, like the Moon Knight blade thing. Like that looked really cool. Why couldn't we have gotten that? There was an Iron Fist episode I heard that they were going to be doing. That would have been cool to have seen Iron Fist and Shang-Chi interact with each other. All these different characters that Marvel has, and I just feel like they weren't able to use them because, again, stuck into the MCU. But again, with shows like X-Men 97, you're familiar with Spider-Man, they're more free to kind of use more characters and kind of go different story angles. And I think Eyes of Wakanda, um, I know this is going to be a very controversial thing, but I just don't know if Eyes of Wakanda, for me personally, I don't think it's something I'm going to check out. I honestly would have preferred a T'Challa animated series. Like, even if you wanted to just do a T'Challa animated series, like, before the events of Civil War, I would have been cool with that. Because there's a lot of story that you could go and tell with that. Like a younger T'Challa. What was that like for him growing up in the world of Wakanda and just exploring the world of Wakanda and maybe introducing some other Wakanda heroes, because there's other Wakanda heroes as well. Maybe introduce a Storm into that animated series. Like, I think that idea, for me personally, that's what I would have done as an animated series. But I just don't know if Eyes of Wakanda is appealing to me to want to check it out. Not to say that it's not for other people, but I just don't think for me that's not what I would envision a Wakandan, a Wakanda cartoon or something like that. That's just not what I would envision to do. But it might be good. It might be good. So it's just all about having different preferences. Wonder Man, I think Wonder Man is gonna be interesting because of the meta ideas. I like meta stuff. I like when stuff kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit. So with him being like an actor and just kind of having that meta playing field, I'm very interested on where they're gonna take that. But I think like that's it. I feel like so far I feel like Marvel has done some good stuff, but I think kind of after Born Again, I'm a little bit adamant on what they're going to do next, or what the next projects are going to be. I think next year is going to be stacked. Next year is definitely going to be stacked. Daredevil season 2, they confirmed that's coming out next year. We got the Punisher special presentation coming out next year. X-Men 97, I believe that's still slated to come out next year, season 2. You're Feeling Neighborhood Spider-Man, I believe, is slated to come out next year, season 2. Vision, the Vision series, whatever that's going to entail. So there's a lot of stuff next year for Marvel that they're definitely planning. So if there's stuff this year that people didn't enjoy, you know, on the end of, things coming later, I think next year will kind of serve that appetite for people who wanted maybe some more of that kind of stuff. Did you read the leaked Kang Dynasty script? I did not. I did not. I don't know what happens in that. So I'm not sure. But I'm sure whatever plans they had for Kang Dynasty, I'm sure they definitely would have been interesting to, check out and kind of see and play out. It's unfortunate that it didn't play out that way, but, again, we'll have to see where they go with the new direction. Rather I personally like it or not, that's up to how things go. What's up, Blade? Colbert Blade, what's up, man? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're just talking about, different things, but yeah, I'm sure King Dynasty would have been insane what they had planned. Almost makes you wonder, whatever they were going to plan with this, the movie, are they gonna use that for Doctor Doom? Or are they just gonna do something completely different with Doom? That's something we'll have to see. They did talk about influences as far as like, uh, the 1987 Secret Wars is gonna have some influence, as well as the 2015 Jonathan Hickman run, as well as going to have some influence, which I think they'll take more from the Jonathan Hickman run of Secret Wars. It's just that they're going to have to change up a lot of stuff because we don't have Miles, we don't have any of the Inhuman characters, anything like that. So they're definitely going to have to change up some certain elements. We don't have a Molecule Man as of right now, so is there going to be a character that's going to take the place of Molecule Man? Could Loki be the character that takes the place of Molecule Man? That's something we'll have to see. I'm just kind of curious about what they're going to do to kind of change up what people already have read with the Secret Wars run when it comes to Doctor Doom. You said, I really like Marvel movies. I haven't watched Marvel movies for a long time. Understandable. There's some good Marvel movies out there. And I know people, it's easy in this day and age to be anti Marvel, but I will say this. I do feel like there's a lot of people over exaggerating online about the Marvel, state of Marvel. I don't think the state of Marvel is in this, like, you know, burn it down destruction place like people exaggerate online. Has there been some good projects? Yes. Has there been some average projects? Yes. Has there been some bad projects? Yes. But what franchise doesn't have that? You know what I mean? Like, that's very natural. Um, and I think it's also kind of weird because, people were kind of saying, like, Marvel needs to take risks. They need to do things different. And when Marvel tried to do that, they completely, weren't having it. So now Marvel's kind of reverting back to what they did before, and now people are like, "Oh, you're being convenient now. You're doing what you did before." So I think a lot of it also has to culminate with just some of the loud internet people online, and that's why I always say, like, don't always take what loud internet fans who are just angry at everything as face value, because that's not the standard Marvel fan. I mean, yeah, people who are fans of Marvel are gonna have their criticisms and their nitpicks. That's any person. But I think when people online who are like, "Oh, the MCU was dead," or "Marvel is dead," and all of this stuff, I just think they're doing it just to get attention out of people because they know certain things like that gets attention out of people. So that's why I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff because at the end of the day, it's all about your enjoyment. It's all about what you want out of it and, what you feel could further, these stories with these characters because I'm sure we want these characters to live out when our, grandchildren and great grandchildren, are alive, Avengers, 10. People want to know what Avengers 10 is going to be like. You know what I mean? People are going to want to know what, X-Men 5, what that's going to be like. So, again, it's just all in a matter of, you know, I'm trying to have hope. You know, I want to have hope for things. That's why I don't judge everything at face value. I don't always say, like, oh, this is going to be trash, this is going to be horrible, this is going to be bad, because I haven't seen the show. I haven't seen the final product. I can't say that. I have to see the final product to get an understanding of what story they were trying to tell, or what story they trying to convey to the audience. So I'm always going to be in that boat of wait and see, watch it for yourself, and then you come to your own thoughts, how you feel about it. Which which one's better, the old Marvel movies or the new Marvel movies? It's all about a balance because I think one of my biggest problems with people I feel is that, well, not problem, but I think that people, I feel like there are some people who feel like phases 1 through 3 of Marvel didn't have like, you know, didn't have any bad movies, or didn't have any movies that lived up to their potential. I think Thor: The Dark World is one of those movies when I look back at movies from Phase 1 and 3 that I wasn't really fond of. You know, I think Thor: The Dark World just was a very, I just feel like it's just a very like boring movie. I'm gonna be honest. I felt like it was a very boring movie. So I think a lot of people look back at, you know, early MCU with rose tinted glasses because there was some things that were very underwhelming and kind of disappointing in those like phases as well. So I don't look at it from the perspective of, well, old Marvel was better than new Marvel, because there was some stuff in old Marvel as well that was very questionable. Um, so that's how I feel. I think people look so much at it in, you know, the Black Panther era, the Infinity War Endgame era, the Guardians of the Galaxy era. They look at it at that era and they say like, oh yeah, this is the golden years of Marvel. You know, the Avengers, the first Avengers. Oh, this is the golden era of Marvel. And while I will say I do feel like the yeah that obviously the first Avengers movie is iconic because this is a group of characters that weren't shown on screen, especially in a live action setting. Now, in animation, yes, we saw them, but as far as like the MCU wise, I think it was a new ground. It was new grounds for Marvel. Same with Iron Man. The first Iron Man came out. That was new grounds for Marvel. I, I personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Iron Man. He's not my favorite Marvel character. But when those movies came out, it gave me some interest in Iron Man because of how Robert Downey Jr. was able to play the character, and stuff like that. So again, they took a they took a character like Iron Man, they did what they did with it, and it just it brought more people in. It brought more people in. They made Thor, they made Captain America, they made Black Panther, they made all these characters. And you know, say what you will, but you got to give Marvel some credit for trying to at least bring these characters into the limelight in ways that they weren't able to do before, you know? And I'm not saying give them all credit, but I'm just saying I think people are so quick to judge and criticize everything in this day and age that I feel like oftentimes we forget about where we were when we started. You know, we didn't know what we were gonna get when the first Iron Man movie came out. We didn't know, you know. So I think about that and I'm looking at where we are now, and I think there's so much more, there's a bigger space out there than where we were when it was just a secluded couple of films. What's your favorite Marvel movie? My favorite Marvel movie is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I love Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Love that movie. Love the story behind the movie, the combat, the fighting, the choreography, the cinematography. I mean, just everything about The Winter Soldier. I enjoyed that movie. So that's definitely my favorite Marvel movie of all time, without a doubt. Is there a new Marvel movie coming out? Yes, there is. The Thunderbolts is coming out next week, May 2nd. And we also have Fantastic Four that's going to be coming out in July as well, July 25th. I believe it's July 25th. So yeah, two Marvel movies coming up this year. We had three. We had Captain America: Brave New World that came out in February. We have Thunderbolts coming out next week, and then we have Fantastic Four. How to watch the old Marvel movies and new Marvel movies for free? Um, I can't really, give you, I can't really say about how to watch them for free. But I'd say if you dig hard enough, if you dig down deep, I think you could find something that might be willing to help you with something like that. But don't just say I told you that. Just look at it as a thing of you did some discovery yourself. You did some self discovery. But that's all I will say about that. But for me, I just watch all the movies on Disney Plus because that's where a good majority of them are. I've been rewatching the X-Men movies as of lately and just trying to get an understanding of the vision of the X-Men movies from back in the day because regardless of how people feel about those movies, I do think that those movies did solidify a big era in Marvel history. And as far as the film side of things, you know, um, Tobey Maguire Spider Man, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, and that whole deal with those characters. Again, that was a big swing for Marvel at the time because Marvel was really facing bankruptcy. They were facing bankruptcy. They didn't know what to do. That's why they had to sell off a lot of their characters, you know, to avoid bankruptcy, being just completely losing the franchise. And that's why to this day, Namor is still owned by Universal. Namor, Hulk is still owned by Universal. All the X-Men and Fantastic Four characters were owned by Fox until Disney bought it and stuff like that. Sony still has Spider-Man, and they're probably going to still have Spider-Man until Disney somehow offers them a deal they can't refuse and they end up giving it up, which I don't know if they will, but maybe. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the original Fantastic Four movies? If I were to be honest, I'd have to rewatch the original Fantastic Four movies because I don't really remember much from them, if I'm being honest. I've watched them. I remember watching them as a kid, but I never did really they never really like you know gravitated towards me growing up. And I think even then like I was more gravitate I gravitated more towards the Fantastic Four cartoon that came on Boomerang, you know. So for me, when I thought about the Fantastic Four as a kid, I automatically thought about the cartoon. I thought about the 90s cartoon. And that was the same way for the X-Men as well. You know, X-Men the animated series introduced me to the X-Men as a whole. And that's why I'm like always like indebted to that series because again, they brought a whole new generation, introduced a whole new generation got introduced to the X-Men. I started looking at X-Men comics. I started looking at the Jim Lee era where the inspiration for X-Men is, the X-Men the animated series is from. And I just started diving more and more about the X-Men. I wanted to go back and read Uncanny X-Men. I wanted to read the Wolverine solo comics. I wanted to read the Gambit solo comics. And I started to do that more and more as time went on. And, I did eventually see, like, the movies, with Hugh Jackman and James Marsden, all the actors, Holly Berry, all the actors and actresses involved. But I always did find it weird that they had these leather outfits on. because that wasn't the X-Men I was so accustomed to. I was so accustomed to seeing the X-Men in these bright, colorful spandex outfits. You know what I mean? Cyclops with the blue outfit on, with his hair over his visors. I was so used to seeing that. I was so used to seeing Wolverine in the yellow and blue, outfit. I was so used to seeing, Storm in her, either her white outfit or her, black and gold outfit. I was so used to seeing that. So when I saw those movies, I just didn't understand why didn't they have them in their comic accurate outfits. And we found out years later that, with the Matrix being so popular as it was at the time, a lot of the superhero movies were kind of taking that Matrix route. But also, the director just thought that having comic accurate outfits was just a silly idea. But now we see, with Deadpool and Wolverine, it definitely did take us like 25 years to see Wolverine in the yellow and blue suit. But it felt good to see him in that suit. It felt good to see him pull down that cowl and finally don the Wolverine that we know. When you look at pictures of Wolverine, when see Gambit and he's wearing the trench coat, he's got his armor on, he's got the playing cards. It feels good to see that, because in the old movies Gambit was sort of like a long hair, leather jacket guy. And yeah, Gambit has had a look like that before, but that's not the Gambit that people know. The Gambit that people know, he's got the crazy hair going on. He's got the Louisianan Creole out, Korean, not Korean, Creole accent. He's got the playing cards. He's got the trench coat. He's got the boots on. Those are the characters we know. So I hope that with Avengers Doomsday, with them bringing these characters in, I hope that they can have them in their comic accurate outfits, because it would just be a breath of fresh air to see the X-Men don those outfits. And because people have wanted to see them, me included, for so long. I just want to watch Marvel movies, new Marvel movie. I just don't have the money to pay for Disney Plus. Yeah, like I said, just if you dig down deep enough, I'm sure you'll find out a way to do it. What's up, Parker? What's up, man? I know it's been a while. It's been a minute, but I'm here, man. I'm back. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the original Hulk movie? I like the original Hulk movie. I think Edward Norton's take on the Hulk is definitely interesting in itself. We kind of got play, kind of references to it in Brave New World, which I still say this. I think Brave New World is very overhated. Very overhated. I enjoyed Brave New World. Me and my friend Kendrick, we went to go see Brave New World together, and we both enjoyed it. I enjoyed the film. I just think personally, people have that idea that, oh yeah, Sam Wilson, he's not Captain America. He is Captain America. Whether you like it or not, he's Captain America. And the history of the comics have all the proof that he is. So that's all I have to say about that, because I am not going to go down that conversation. Because I've said my thoughts on it, and that's not going to change, you know, that's not going to change for me. Become a pirate to watch what you can't afford. Arg! There you go. Oh, yo ho, the Pirate Bay. Don't say I told you that though. You know. I'll be interested in your live streams. You did a long stream talking about Me TV Tunes back last year. Yeah, I did. I did. That was a fun time. That was great talking about Me TV Tunes. I'm definitely gonna dive back into animation content because I definitely miss it. I miss the animation content. There's some stuff out there, so I'm gonna try to do some videos on some stuff that we've heard over the past few weeks or whatnot. Kind of catch up. I need to catch up on some things. So stay tuned to that. No pun intended. No pun intended there. But yeah, I enjoyed talking about Me TV Tunes. That was a fun time. That video went crazy. I was surprised at how many people watched that video. I was surprised at how many people tuned into that stream. So I'll definitely, maybe I can do like a 1 year later stream for Me TV Tunes and kind of get people's thoughts on how they feel about Me TV Tunes a year later. So I might do that. I have to figure out when they aired Me TV Tunes and on the day of, and then try to do a stream for that. But yeah, you're bigger fan. You're Are you trying to say you're my bigger fan? You're my biggest fan, or are you trying to say I was a bigger fan? I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to say. I'm guessing you're trying to say like you're my one of a bigger fan right now of what I'm doing. I'm guessing that's what you're trying to say. You're a bigger fan of what I'm doing now. And if so, I appreciate that. Like I said, I have plenty more things on the way. As I'm trying to get some interviews set up in the future. There's definitely some people I definitely want to interview, and I'm sure some of you want me to interview people as well. So again, I want to try to get that set up. I want to try to do a full week of just live streaming in May. So look out for May. I remember watching it 1 year ago when you did it, a live stream of how Me TV Tunes 1 year ago. It was awesome. Yeah. Okay. So then I'll definitely do one for a year of Me TV Tunes. I'll definitely do one. Since you guys like enjoyed that one, I could definitely pick it. Oh, I could definitely pick it back up. But yeah, my my phone is getting close to dying, and it's been fun. It's been fun talking with you guys. We kind of got more people towards the end, which is cool. It usually happens. So the next stream, I'm gonna try to, notify people way ahead of time. Like I said, tomorrow I'll probably do a stream tomorrow, and we'll talk a little bit more about Fantastic Four, kind of going through that ordeal. If you guys are interested in that, so definitely check that out. Would be awesome if they did a Me TV anime channel, just like the retro stuff, like Astro Boy. Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, they have Speed Racer on there, so why not have like Astro Boy and the '90s Sailor Moon and stuff like that? That would be cool. Maybe you can, I think there is a place on MeTV Tunes website that you can suggest that. So maybe try suggesting that to them, and because you never know, they may just do like an anime channel with all the different like classic anime stuff. Because I think people would be really interested in that. So definitely let them know that. Because I'm sure, someone maybe has had that idea, but maybe they weren't, able to come out with it or have a concrete plan of that. So, yeah. But yeah, cool live stream. It was great kicking it with you guys as always. Like I said, look out tomorrow at 5. I might just pitch them that. Yeah, definitely, Darth. Definitely pitch them that. Because, again, you never know. You know? But yeah, great stream. Fantastic Four stream tomorrow. So if you guys love Fantastic Four, you're interested in Fantastic Four, maybe you guys have some theories for Fantastic Four, let me know. We'll definitely be doing that tomorrow. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning into the stream. Again, awesome, all the love and support, even when I've been on my hiatus. This stream has definitely gave me the motivation I needed. Like in the thumbnail, I am being reborn by the cosmos. I am being reborn by the cosmos of the creativity. And it's all thanks to you guys. So yeah, Council of Creators. I think that's the thing you were talking about before. I think you and Alexander were talking about it. I definitely want to try to get on that council of creators at some point. It's just that I'm so busy doing other stuff that I'll try to get on there eventually. I know I said it before, but I will. I will. It will happen. It's just a matter of when and where it'll happen. So yeah, you should talk about the original Fantastic Four. I might do that before Fantastic Four comes out. I might talk about the original Fantastic Four movies. I might do a stream for that. I can go back and rewatch those movies and give you my thoughts on them. So stay tuned for that because that'll definitely happen at some point. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much. Big love to you all. As always, wait, there's always something I say before then. Oh yeah, if you guys have a dream, you guys have a goal, go for it. Do it. Just do it. Be better. Be the best thing. Do it better than you could ever imagine, and just be you. Be yourself. And stuff. Would you do a gaming live stream? Yes, I would, and I have plans to do gaming live streams in the future. Just got to get a better setup. That's all it comes down to is just a better setup overall. I need a better PC and I need a better, setup and just all that. So yeah, I do plan on doing gaming stuff in the future. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. I can't tell you when, I can't make any promises, but just know there are plans to do gaming stuff on the channel or just maybe another channel at some point. Definitely on Twitch too. Definitely on Twitch. But yeah, with that being said, big love to you all and peace out. Do I watch Disney Channel? Yes. Yes, I do.